It begins with an empty chair. Somewhere in a federal courthouse your name is called out, nobody answers, and a machine older than the White House quietly wakes up. Level 1 is silent. You missed a court date, and the consequences arrive not as sirens but as paperwork moving through a system that was built to never lose track of anyone. The judge does not raise his voice and does not look angry. He signs a bench warrant in less than a minute, and with that signature, you legally become a fugitive. A court clerk types your name into a terminal before lunch. Your height, your scars, your tattoos, your last known address, all of it becomes a permanent digital record. That record flows into the National Crime Information Center, reachable from nearly every patrol car in the country. The Marshal Service keeps an office in every single federal judicial district. The agency now assigned to find you is older than the FBI and older than modern police forces. Congress created the United States Marshals in the very first year of the federal government. In a district office, a deputy United States Marshal opens a fresh file with your name on it. He has hundreds of others. Yours starts at the bottom of the pile. You are on your couch telling yourself it was only one hearing, that you will call the court on Monday. Most people in your position never end up making that call. Missing court is not a delay. It is a brand new federal crime. Failure to appear on a serious charge can add up to a decade on top of whatever you already faced. A letter from the court sits unopened on your kitchen table. The system does not care whether you ever read it. Notice was given, and the clock is already running against you. If you were out on bond, a bondsman now owes the court real money, and private recovery agents may start looking too. The marshals are simply the hunters who never send a bill. Your folder lands in a wire tray beneath a sign reading warrants. Nothing about this moment looks dramatic in any way. That is exactly how the first level always looks. Level 2 is the warrant squad. Deputies who do nothing all day but find people begin working your file the same way they have worked thousands of others before it. A deputy pulls everything the government already knows about you. Old addresses, old bookings, old vehicles, old photographs. Before anyone knocks on a door, they know your history better than your friends do. At dawn, deputies in armored vests gather around the hood of a car and study a photo of your face. This is routine for them. They did the same thing yesterday. The knock at your old apartment is loud and flat. Deputies stand to either side of the door frame out of long habit. Nobody is home, and they fully expected that. They talk to the neighbor watering her plants outside. When did you leave? Who visited you? What did you drive? People answer those questions far more often than you would want to believe. Your car goes into their notes. So does your gym, your old job, and the corner store where you bought cigarettes. Piece by piece, they are assembling your pattern of life. You are not being hunted by one determined man. Thousands of deputy marshals and criminal investigators work these files, and hunting fugitives is the single job this agency is best known for. Deputies visit your last workplace and stand in the break room asking careful questions. By the time the afternoon shift arrives, everyone you ever worked with knows that you are wanted. You have already moved, sleeping on a friend's floor across town with one duffel bag. You think distance means safety. To the warrant squad, your movement is simply new data. A deputy wedges a business card into the frame of your mother's front door. It is not a courtesy visit. It is pressure, and it is designed to make a phone ring. Sometimes that phone really does ring. A tired voice on the line offers up an address, and a file that sat quietly for weeks jumps to the top of the pile overnight. You peek through the blinds of a borrowed room and see nothing but an ordinary street. Level 2 ends when you convince yourself they have given up on you. They have not. Level 3 is the paper trail. You can hide your body in a spare room, but you cannot easily stop existing on paper, and paper is where deputies hunt best. Renew a license, register a car, or even get towed, and a state computer quietly timestamps your existence. Deputies read those systems the way other people read the morning news. An apartment needs power and water, and utility companies want a real name with a deposit. Every account opened in your name is a pin dropped on a map you cannot see. Even getting hired generates a report. Federal law requires employers to send new hire information to a national directory, a system built for child support but useful to anyone hunting a paycheck. Deputies serve federal subpoenas on landlords and storage companies without ever leaving the office. Rental applications list references, and references are just a polite word for people who know where you are. With approval, investigators can log the outside of every envelope arriving at an address connected to you. Not the contents, just the senders, and the senders are often more than enough. If you take medication, refills leave records. If you pawn a ring, that leaves records too. A fugitive's life becomes a long exercise in not signing anything, and everything wants a signature. The storage unit you rented before running still charges a card every month. Possessions anchor people. Deputies know that fugitives circle back for photographs, tools, and paperwork they could not abandon. Court systems talk to each other now. A traffic ticket, a custody filing, or a small claims dispute anywhere in the country can quietly surface your name to exactly the wrong reader. So you work for cash on a loading dock and feel invisible at last. But cash jobs mean coworkers, and coworkers have phones, and phones are what make Level 4 possible. Back at the district office, an analyst lays your records side by side across a desk. No single page says where you are. Together, they narrow the world around you. Level 4 is the people you know. The Marshals learned long ago that fugitives are rarely found through brilliance. They are found through everyone you have ever loved. A plain sedan parks down the street from your mother's house on a Sunday afternoon. Deputies know that fugitives get homesick, and they know that mothers cook dinner on Sundays. Everyone gets interviewed, old cellmates, old bosses, the cousin you have not spoken to in years. Each conversation ends with the same quiet suggestion to call if they hear anything. Anyone who hides you is committing a federal crime of their own. Harboring a fugitive from a felony warrant can bring up to 5 years in prison, and deputies say so plainly. Your girlfriend gets a visit at her job. Nothing threatening, just calm questions asked in front of her manager. The pressure is the point, and it works more often than loyalty does. Somewhere in your circle is someone with charges of their own pending. Cooperation buys leniency. The Marshals do not need everyone around you to talk. They need exactly one person. Deputies watch funerals, weddings, and hospital doors because fugitives surface for grief and for birth. Plenty of long manhunts have ended quietly in cemetery parking lots and maternity waiting rooms. If you have children, deputies know where they go to school and when. Nobody menaces the kids. They simply trust the oldest truth there is, that parents cannot stay away forever. Then there are the people who simply do not like you. An ex with a grievance, a rival, an unpaid debt. Tip lines exist because grudges are patient and they are free. You knock on a friend's door needing a place to stay and watch it close in your face. He has kids and a mortgage. Level 4 shrinks your world house by house. One evening, a deputy answers a call, listens without speaking, and writes down a street name. He does not celebrate. Family always talks eventually, and he has watched this level end before. Level 5 is the digital net. You stopped using your name weeks ago, but in this century, your name was never the main thing following you around. You bought a prepaid phone with cash and felt clever doing it, but you called your mother with it, and a pattern of calls can be as unique as a fingerprint. With a court order, investigators can learn which tower your phone talks to. In a city, that narrows the search to a handful of blocks. Deputies walk the rest of the way. You deleted your accounts, but your friends did not delete theirs. You appear in the background of someone's birthday photo, tagged by location, posted by a person who never thought twice. Cameras on patrol cars and tow trucks photograph license plates automatically, feeding commercial databases that investigators can query. Park on the wrong street one time, and the street itself remembers you. One night you were tired and hungry, and you used the old debit card just once. To an analyst, a single transaction is not a slip. It is a fresh location. Old logins betray you too. A streaming account, a gaming console, an email checked from a library computer. Every session leaves an address that a subpoena can turn into a map. Even food can find you. Delivery apps store addresses indefinitely, and an account created back in better days can quietly connect an old craving to a brand new hiding place. You start noticing cameras everywhere because they truly are everywhere. Doorbells, buses, gas pumps, intersections. Most footage is never watched by anyone until one deputy has one reason to ask for it. So you pay cash at a highway motel beneath a sign reading motel and give no name at all. The clerk still writes down the plate of the car outside. At the office, all the digital threads land on one analyst's screen as dots scattered across a map of your city. The dots are starting to cluster. Levels always end this way. Level 6 is the task force. Your file stops belonging to one deputy and starts belonging to a machine that blends federal, state, and local power into a single door knock. After 2000, Congress helped the Marshals build permanent regional fugitive task forces, standing armies of full-time manhunters that blanket the country alongside dozens of smaller district task forces. Local detectives raise their right hands and are sworn in as federal task force officers. Your city cop now carries federal authority, and jurisdiction quietly stops meaning anything at all. In a task force office, your photo hangs on a corkboard beneath a sign reading Fugitives. Every morning, someone stands in front of that board with coffee and chooses. When the Marshals surge, the numbers turn surreal. In one coordinated national sweep in the spring of 2005, Operation Falcon arrested more than 10,000 fugitives in a single week. Even the ordinary years are staggering. Marshals-led task forces arrest tens of thousands of fugitives annually, which averages out to hundreds of closed files every single working day. Task force officers sweep county jails every week, comparing fresh bookings against open warrants. Fugitives are routinely discovered already sitting in custody, arrested under borrowed names that did not hold. A plain van sits across from a house connected to you. Inside it, an officer eats a sandwich and takes photographs. Surveillance is mostly boredom, generously funded, and endlessly patient. When a task force finally moves, it is pure choreography. A team stacks silently along a front wall in the gray hour before sunrise, and one fist hovers over the door. This time the bed inside is empty and still warm. You left 2 days earlier on a bus. Nobody curses about it. The file simply gets thicker and the machine resets. You ride that bus with your forehead against the glass, watching a state line come closer. You believe that crossing it means starting over. That belief is the next level's entire subject. Level 7 is crossing state lines. Distance feels like escape when you are the one moving. Legally, you have just upgraded your problem from one state to the entire country's. Flee a state to dodge prosecution, and prosecutors can pursue an unlawful flight charge, a federal count that exists mostly to put federal hunters formally and permanently on your trail. States have owed each other their fugitives since the founding era. Congress wrote interstate extradition into federal law in the Republic's first years, and the principle has never once lapsed. In your new city, a patrol officer stops the car you are riding in over a broken taillight. He runs every name inside. Warrants surface on his screen in seconds, silently. You survive that stop only because you were a passenger and the officer was busy. You will replay that 1 minute in your head for months. So will your luck. You find day labor and a room rented by the week. Every new person who learns your face is a coin flipped in your name every single day from now on. Far from home, the holidays turn dangerous. One phone call back east on a Christmas morning has quietly ended more long runs than any battering ram ever has. Then, there is the trap underneath everything else. Get booked anywhere in America for anything, even a bar fight, and your fingerprints reach federal databases before you can post bail. Some fugitives buy a new name from the wrong kind of vendor. Paper identities tend to collapse the first time any clerk cross-checks a birth record against a death index. Back east, your file transfers to the Marshals district covering your new city with a single phone call. Same agency, same databases, fresh deputies. The hunt does not restart. It continues. You walk to work through the alley now because the main streets have cameras, at least in your mind. Fear has become your navigation system. That is what Level 7 costs. Level 8 is the major case. If your charges are serious enough, you stop being a folder in a district office and become a national project with a budget. The Marshals keep a short public list of their highest priority targets, a program that has run for decades, and landing on it changes everything about how you are hunted. Money formally enters the hunt. Rewards for top fugitives start in the tens of thousands of dollars, and history shows that almost everyone has a price someone near them will accept. A specialized technical unit joins your case, deputies who work with surveillance equipment and electronic leads that district squads rarely touch. You will never see them, even when they see you. Analysts build a profile of your habits, what you eat, what you watch, which teams you follow. People change their names far more easily than they ever change their tastes. One inspector owns your case now, and inspectors keep their fugitives the way other people keep hobbies. Some have chased a single name across the length of an entire career. A chief deputy stands at a podium beside your enlarged photograph and asks the public for help. The evening news runs it. Overnight, an entire city of strangers joins the search. Your face appears on a highway billboard above a sign reading, "Wanted." Drivers glance up for a heartbeat at a time. A heartbeat is all a tip ever requires. Television manhunt shows have partnered with the Marshals for decades, turning captures into content and viewers into sources. Fugitives have been recognized by total strangers standing in grocery store lines. In a motel bathroom, you grow a beard and buy glasses you do not need. Disguise feels like taking control. Analysts keep a folder of what you look like tired. Meanwhile, forensic accountants trace whoever might be funding your run because money always comes from somewhere. Freeze the money, the old deputies say, and the man surfaces on his own. Level 9 is the border. You leave the country believing that American law ends at the water. The Marshals run an entire branch built on the fact that it does not. Your passport is flagged before you ever book a flight. Airlines share their manifests with the government, and border systems screen names on the way out as carefully as the way in. Through Interpol, a red notice can circulate your identity to police forces across most of the planet. You have not escaped the net. You have simply entered a much larger one. The United States maintains extradition treaties across most of the globe, and where treaties run thin, deportation and expulsion often accomplish exactly the same result with far less paperwork. The Marshals permanently station personnel abroad, working beside foreign police in the regions where American fugitives most often run. The office door changes, the mission behind it never does. You sit at a beach cafe beneath a sign reading "Cafe," drinking coffee in a country whose language you are still learning. For the first time in years, you feel unwatched. Life abroad still costs money, and moving it across borders creates records that investigators read fluently. The transfers keeping you alive are the same transfers quietly drawing your map. Expat communities are small and talkative everywhere on Earth. A new arrival who pays cash, avoids photos, and never mentions home becomes the most interesting person in town. Interesting travels fast. Deputies rarely make arrests themselves on foreign soil. They do not have to. They locate you, and then local officers in local uniforms handle the rest under local law. The pipeline home never idles. Averaged across the calendar, fugitives are returned to the United States from abroad every single day of the year, escorted personally by deputy marshals. It ends at the cafe, of course. 2 local officers approach your table while a man in plain clothes waits beside a car across the street, watching and saying nothing. The flight home is quiet. You sit between 2 deputies with your wrists together and watch clouds slide past a small window. Extradition is boring, and it runs almost entirely one way. Level 10 is time itself. Suppose none of that worked. Suppose you truly vanished from every system. Now you are up against the one advantage the Marshals never lose. Felony warrants do not quietly expire while you wait them out. Your file can outlive the deputy who opened it, handed forward like a debt the government refuses to write off. Deputies periodically pull dormant fugitive files and read them with new eyes. What was a dead end in one decade becomes a routine database query in the next one. Forensic artists age your old photograph, adding gray, wrinkles, and weight. The face they draw is a prediction of you, and their predictions have found men no one else could. The Marshals still hold the file on the men who escaped Alcatraz in the 60s. Policy keeps that case open until each escapee would have reached 99 years of age. And the long runs do end. The service has closed cases on fugitives who stayed hidden for more than 40 years, arrested in the quiet lives they built as other men. Every so often, somewhere in America, an elderly man in a quiet suburb answers his door and hears deputies say a name he abandoned before his neighbors were even born. Because hiding for decades is its own sentence, served without a release date. No license, no lease, no doctor who knows your history, no true name spoken at your own table. Decades from now, that could be you. Gray, careful, half convinced you finally made it, living a life you can never insure, never document, and never fully inhabit. The deputy who opened your file eventually retires, and a younger one inherits the folder without ceremony. You have been running from an institution, and institutions do not get tired. This is why defense attorneys give the same unglamorous advice in every generation. Go to court and face the charge with counsel, because a case can end. A hunt cannot. Most of the people the Marshals capture are not master criminals. They are ordinary people who missed a hearing and then let fear make every decision that came after it. The oldest law enforcement agency in America has outlived every fugitive who ever tested it. The file with your name on it only needs one thing to close: you.